I'm Wystan Gets, class of 1994, Williams College, and I was Community Affairs Director for WCFM for a year, and then I was the General Manager from 1993 to 1994. And I modeled this after Dick Cavett's Criterion Closet. Dick Cavett was a talk show host in the 1970s who was sort of second banana to Johnny Carson back in the day. He was known for having political figures and musicians. He had a show right after Woodstock that featured performers who had just gotten off the stage and were still muddy from all the shenanigans that went on up there. And the thing that I enjoyed about his Criterion Closet was he didn't really talk about the movies so much as talk about the folks who were in the movies who were on his show. So I've got 3 albums here today, which actually do have some special meaning for me in a variety of ways. So the first one I want to talk about is this one from REM. This album is REM's second album. It is one that was produced by Mitch Easter of the band Let's Active. The thing that's interesting to me about this album is that it has a snake on the cover that was drawn by outsider artist Howard Finster, who's also from America's Georgia, where I've lived for the past 30 years. He has a place that was kind of a decrepit house that's called Paradise Gardens that still exists, that's full of his art. It's up in Dade County, Georgia, which is the extreme northeast corner of the state. You pretty much have to drive into Tennessee and Alabama in order to get to Rising Fawn, Georgia, which is where his art installation is. And REM was fortunate enough to get him to give him this picture of a snake that they put on this album. This album, Reckoning, also features one of my favorite of their songs, or several of my favorite of their songs, South Central Rain and Don't Go Back to Rockville, which makes me think of my first job as a public defender in Rockdale County, and which is how I got to go to Howard Finster's installation. It's up near a prison in North Georgia. And in my day job, I'm a lawyer, and I do criminal law. So that's REM's Reckoning. The next one I want to talk about is Camper Van Beethoven's Vampire Can Mating Oven. This one is interesting to me for a handful of reasons. First of all, it is a 12-inch record. However, it's a 45. And the folks at WCFM, when this came in, made a note on here, 40 fucking 5 RPM, so that the DJs would know to put this on the right setting, the right speed on the turntable, which would be really important back when you were DJing and using the actual 1s and 2s to play your show. The other thing that really entertains me about this album is the sense of humor that went into the liner notes on the back of this. The liner notes are probably more entertaining for me than the actual album. It does include their cover of Ringo Starr's Photograph. If you haven't listened to this and you're a Camper fan, check it out. But I really enjoy the liner notes to the song Processional. It says, originally this song was entitled, "Why Don't You Challenge the Boundaries of Rock Music by Playing Harsh, Furious, Dissonant Guitar Noise with lyrics exclusively about death and sex and pretend like you are making some kind of original statement about the relation between the two and therefore expressing the pain and confusion of modern society." It then goes on to say that after you do that, you can become a rock critic and write about your own band under a different name, but not before you move to New York or LA or Chicago or some sufficiently urban place and live in a bad part of town while still receiving checks from your parents, who are probably liberals and didn't let you watch enough violence on TV, so you never got it out of system. And then you go to law school like everyone else. So this one resonates to me because that's what I did. And I always enjoy David Lowery's sense of humor. It really makes me laugh. And I like how they always put a good bit of humor into their music. And by the way, the first concert I went to was Camper opening for REM at Memorial Gym on the Vanderbilt campus in Nashville. Which brings us around to the Grinning Plowman's album, Days of Deformity. I did play one of their songs on my show just a few minutes ago. These guys are a goth band out of Nashville, and they sound a little bit like if Peter Buck joined up with Bauhaus. So they've got an interesting sound to them. But the thing that has always caused me to remember them is that they went to the Soviet Union in 1988 as part of Glasnost. You might remember Mikhail Gorbachev, Glasnost and Perestroika. Glasnost was openness, and they invited a bunch of people from other countries to come over there and perform. And one of them was these guys. And I remember actually asking one of them, how did you get selected for this? Did you apply? Did you have to do something like that? And the dude was like, no, somebody asked us. And then we had to go through a bunch of background checks. But it resulted in them spending a month in the Soviet Union in 1988, which seemed pretty cool to me. So that's a memory that I've always had. And seeing this crazy album still here at WCFM is a nice thing and a good way to conclude this little chat.